Here to talk about it, New York Congresswoman Elise. She's the chair of the House Republican Conference. And good morning to you. Thanks for being here. Darren Shaw helps run our polling group. He says a 3-point edge translates to about 28 House seats on the plus side. What do your numbers tell you? Let's start there.
My numbers tell me that this November is going to be a big Republican, a red wave, and this is because the American people are suffering through crisis after crisis under unified one-party Democrat rule. And the fundamentals have stayed the same for months, unfortunately. People continue to see inflation skyrocket, the highest rate of inflation over my lifetime. People are paying double for gas than they were when Joe Biden took office. And crime continues to tick up, not only in states like New York, but across America. So as I'm looking at this playing field of congressional races across the country, I think we have an opportunity. If we pick up 35 seats, that would be the biggest Republican majority in a century. And I think we are on track to do just that. Plus, the candidates we're recruiting are some of the highest quality candidates I've ever seen since I've been in office.
Okay, two things here. Sorry. A 3-point edge translates into a 23-seat game, which would put you plus 18 or plus 19. Let's see how it works out. Could be higher. Maybe it's not. Another one, has a clear plan for dealing with problems facing the country. That's the question we asked Americans about Joe Biden. This is stunning. 62% say no. How many independents and how many Democrats are part of that 62%? You have to ask yourself.
Well, it's a huge number, Bill. And if you look at the independents in your recent polling, 72% of independents disapprove of Joe Biden's handling. And that is a stunning number. I mean, we are going to build this majority not just on Republican voters, but independents and, frankly, Democrats. This is a coalition I've built in my own district, winning by significant double digits, because it's not just conservative and Republicans. It's independents, it's moderates, it's women. Look at those numbers. We continue to increase our vote share among Hispanic voters and African-American voters. Look at the newest elected member of Congress, Mayra Flores in Texas. She flipped a district that Joe Biden won by 13 points. We have an opportunity to pick up those types of seats all across America because the American people want a Congress that understands the challenges they're facing. Inflation, gas prices, the border crisis. Those are not issues that Democrats are talking about in Washington.
Okay. Meanwhile, there's this CHIPS bill that may pass soon. It's $52 billion on the tab, but it would help big companies like NVIDIA compete more, we're told, with countries rather like China. I understand it's been held up in the House because Democrats tacked on a number of other issues that aren't going to fly on the Senate side, but let's see whether or not they still stand. Meanwhile, Paul Pelosi, the husband of Nancy Pelosi, has made a $1 to $5 million bet that this is going to go through, and he made the bet on NVIDIA, big chip maker, I mean, known around the world. Pelosi has also said that she wants to get lawmakers out of the business of investing in stocks. Now, two things here. This is what Paul Pelosi does for a living. But Paul Pelosi also could have information as to whether or not the bill is going to fly in the House. Now, how would you as a Republican react to that?
I think this is one of the untold stories of Nancy Pelosi's speakership and her time, frankly, in Congress. The Pelosi's, as a family, her husband has profited by tens of millions of dollars during her time in congressional leadership. And it's not just the investment in domestic semiconductor chip manufacturing. This is what we've seen when Paul Pelosi has purchased stock options for big tech companies, making tens of millions of dollars as Nancy Pelosi slow-walked potential legislation to rein in the power of big tech companies. So this stinks to high heaven. And as the American people are suffering, as they're looking at their investments continuing to plummet, the fact that the Pelosi's are profiting, it just doesn't smell right. And frankly, it is one of the commitments of Republicans in a majority to make sure that we have the correct rules in place, to make sure that there's no malfeasance, and to make sure that members of Congress and their family members, particularly their spouses, are not able to profit at all over these types of investments.
It is a strong populist message you have to sell to the American people, and then if you get the majority, you have to do it. And people are watching to see whether or not that happens. Please come back. A lot to talk about very soon. 114 days, I think, till November. Just about
Thank you.
that. All right. Elise, thank you for coming in today.